Good morning! This is a journey of self-love, finding your values, celebrating and reflecting on 2021. And yes, with a worksheet attached for you guys. This is such a great start to the video for self-love.
And bonuses at the end for you to set actionables with your values scientifically.
It is now a day after Christmas. There are two big failures in my life that has significantly shaped how I am the way I am today. The first one is that I failed my prosthetics exams. I went to the professor's office hour to figure out what was the exact reason why I got my test wrong. And guess what he said? No, sorry, the test will be different from this one, so just review the materials again. Apparently, professors do not teach us how to study. They are knowledgeable in their field of study, but not knowledgeable in how to teach and portray their thoughts to students who are a complete beginner to this subject. Oh gosh, I look like a little concealer Indian. Full concentration mode for eyeliners. After half a year, I ran away from my problems for a long time. So now is the perfect time to reflect and take myself on a date. So obviously, as a responsible student, I searched up methods to improve my studying skills and somehow Frankensteined a studying monster system for myself to use.
Frankensteining obviously did not work because everybody has his or her method of doing things. Learning the practice of reflection is fundamental because it allows people to engage into a thoughtful relationship with the world, life, and thus gain an awake stance about one's lived experience. So I have confronted my fears and go deep with the reflection first. So the three fears that I overcame in 2021 are: first, I have tried to be at peace with my negative emotions instead of sweeping them under the rug. So I am currently at the school or museum and I'm gonna think about life. Second is that I have developed a better relationship with my inner critic voice. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This let me think about where I want to go in life. And this artwork is called Where Do You Want to Go? That makes me think about life on where my values are and where I want to go in my future with my goals. Next, I also reflected on what I've learned. How can I make myself and the experience of people hanging out with me better? It feels like I'm walking inside someone's brain's blood vessels and getting surrounded by the mental state of someone. It's really let me think of knowledge management. I'll insert a picture, taking a picture of my phone's notes from Rome research in comparison with how much nodes and ties this has. When I saw those red strings, it really let me think of how complicated our brains handle relationships. The three things I have to let go are also related to relationships. The first one is romantic relationships, second one is ruminating thoughts, third one is black and white thinking. I fought against my ego to find out what is behind the perfect image I'm trying to maintain online in front of my friends and myself. This artwork gives me a really classification intensive era. People just love labels and stereotypes because that's our system one. From Daniel's Think Fast and Slow's book, it has described system 1 and system 2. Every window and frame feels like every culture, language, and categorization and labels for all the people that we met in our life.
Hello! Didn't see you guys there. I'm going to record my thoughts and my feelings. Too subjectively, objectively, too many feelings for my brain to process. So I have just got back home and I want to celebrate my wins before I completely forget all my thoughts that I have sifted through my process when I was walking through the gallery. So here we go on a celebration section of the worksheet. And yes, link below in the description box. The first one is that I got 4 A's in my fall semester. I finished the painting of the anesthetic alliance that you guys see in some of the previous videos. Anyways, insert a little clip of the painting here, of the details and how much I love it, and with all the cracks and bumps and the beauties of oil painting. The third one is that I still managed to persevere through YouTube after around a year and a half of doing this video making thing. 3 things I didn't invest for myself are: first one, I learned mindfulness meditation the proper scientific psychological way. Second one is that I've started journaling since June. This is one of the most valuable free therapeutic activity that I've done since June. And then third one is working out consistently. And then 3 things that I did not expect to happen is that discover my who am I through YouTube. And second one is switching from the fashion niche to the studying productivity niche of helping students living their best life. And then the third one is realizing that I'm on Mount Stupid for many domains of knowledge. I'm just at the tip of the iceberg for every single domain of knowledge. And now we have celebrated wins and reflect on the year. How do we find our motivation? Before we get into the classic sleepover, I'm going to take a shower and get myself emotionally prepared. So let's see each other a little while later. Hello! Didn't see you guys there. I feel like a Santa Claus who has been robbed because I have my socks on with my pajamas in classical sleepover style around 12 a.m. The plan is to do this value searching exercise on the bed where I am more emotionally vulnerable than usual. So a research has shown that if we live by our definition and philosophy of a good life, we'll have more motivation, sense of autonomy, and more goal progression. But what philosophy or definition of a good life? This really comes down to what you value as a human being. You might have the question of what are values in scientific terms. So let's bring out the domain of psychology and explain it from that point of view. In psychology, there is a therapy called acceptance-based commitment therapy for increasing autonomy and sense of control of your own life. The acceptance-based commitment therapy manual has the definition of the value. Values is the inner motivation of a human to connect with the world and other people. It gives the person a sense of worthiness, satisfaction, desirability. Values are important because it shapes all our actions and let us work towards who we want to be. After reading an acceptance-based commitment therapy exercise that I found online, and no matter I want to admit it or not, how I allocate my time and my actions is largely determined by what I value and how my current state of emotional/mental well-being is. By using this natural cycle of motivation, of using values to motivate us to do actions, our goals has to align to this. But how do we find what we value? There are so many values out there, such as adventure, self-esteem, religious, purposeful, independent, autonomous, fame, self-awareness, mindfulness, kindness, justice, power, authority, respect, the list goes on. After reading and doing all those acceptance-based commitment therapy exercise that I found online, I have created a value ordering worksheet on Notion for you guys. Sorry for people on remnote, this won't be applicable because Notion does not have kanban board function. If you open the worksheet that I have linked below, you will see all the values in the no status column, and I have organized it into not important, somewhat important, and very important, surprisingly important, and surprisingly not important. The 2 main categories I will focus on when I'm doing this exercise is surprisingly not important and surprisingly important. And please be completely honest with yourself, because as Richard Feynman says, the easiest person to fool is yourself. Humans are very good at self-deception. In the book The Elephant in the Brain, the book defines elephant as the ugly motivation when we want to do things. For example, the motivation to donate money to charity has 2 purposes. One is showing that you are very kind and care about world problems. Second, not so pretty motivation is a rich person donating money to charity to signal their wealth to the world. And I really recommend it to people who are interested in thinking about what are humans' real intention of taking action. Some of the values that I really value are love, creativity, mindfulness, non-conformity, and adventure. I think back to I have failed my test and not study accordingly, I have came to an answer. Normally, school system punishes me for getting a bad grade, which means spending more time to study to improve my grade. And this is just a vicious cycle that never ends. However, if I value autonomy and creativity, I want to own my progress of learning and read and study things in a sequence that my brain wants me to. But how do I set a goal for this entire entire long process of conform to the system when I take a test, but still own my progress. This sounds so contradictory. So the secret sauce that will glue everything together, act on my goals with values, is self-authorship. You may ask, what is self-authorship? This is a very good question, my friend. Self-authorship means that you believe in yourself and the choices that you make for yourself. Let's go deeper. It means that we can take control of our reaction to external events. And as cheesy as self-authorship sounds, a simpler definition would be, I am my own director and author of my own life. Increase in self-authorship. Or back to the text failure example. When I fail my test, I will accept this external life event and reflect on myself and see what choices I have done not as well. Back to the test failure example, I will take responsibility for failing this test and reflecting on how I can improve for the next retest. Don't we want to take actions and change our self-limiting beliefs? The purpose of having a goal is to have a sense of direction, to focus our mind to a problem to solve. There are 4 criteria for setting a goal with self-authorship and your values in mind. The first one is that the goal has to be meaningful. Meaningful means that the goal has to align to your values and who you want to be. Second one is actionable. This goal has to be very simple, sounds so funny to yourself that it will be doable for every single day. We don't want to intimidate ourselves because we might have some self-limiting beliefs, and if the action is too big and not doable, it will trigger our fears and let us jump away from this bright future that we might want to create. And then the third one is consistency. This goal is very small, so it will be very doable for every single day. Of course, there can be breaks throughout the week. And then the fourth one is recordable. Simply recording a yes or no would be good enough. I'm not into those fancy bullet journaling and scoreboard system for tracking my habits and goals. That is just way too complicated. Just thinking of building that system completely drives me nuts. And when I look at things in a very curious manner and momentarily ignore my responsibility as a student to score high grades, I really enjoy the process of learning. And the process of learning itself is very rewarding. I don't want to be rewarded by a grade. If you have found this useful in some shape or form, and please subscribe and come along to the journey. If you're interested in this video, you might be interested in how I use conceptual note-taking and study 4 subjects at once. Stay tuned for another future video on how to apply those values to your new semester, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye! I can't reach the camera.